It's very. Can I say something?
Yes.
You know, when you are doing projects like this that rub against the grain of society, you have to be very prepared that it's a fight.
Yes.
Of ideas. And those of you who have read Ngungi wa Thiong'o's Pen Points, Gun Points, it's a very good book that speaks to how humanity is a stage on which the arts strive to perform, as well as those who are in government. And you're going to see that wherever, the artists gather to perform to society, the politician would also want to be there.
Yes.
And that's one thing you have to be ready with. And I also believe that wherever change has taken place, the artists have been part of that change. And we must see ourselves as playing a role of initiating and driving that change in our little contributions. And if you listen to someone, Mwansaka Pwepwe's speeches, like the 1971, when he was talking about neo-colonialism and all these so-called investors coming back. And a few months ago, I was really very surprised to hear Bill Gates and all his money discovering a rock that has always been here. How?
They're still discovering us.
How? And if you look at the researches that were done in geology, that was done in the 70s, that rock has always been known to be there. So how has Bill Gates come and discovered it? These are some of the things that, when they are spoken by the media, they become reality. And yet somebody is giving you the information that you already know. And it's very saddening when it's very sad when actually the politicians are singing to a song that has been given to them without even questioning it and thinking that it's going to resolve their economic problems. I really I freeze even when I'm watching news to such information. And truly our curriculum needs to be revisited. Because if you listen to what Kapwepwe was talking about that time, that's why when the Department of Culture was synonymous with Kapwepwe.
Yeah.
At one time when Kapwepwe was Minister of, Minister or Secretary of Rural Development, Agriculture and Rural Development,
yes.
Culture Department went there.
Yeah.
When he was Vice President, it was attached to Vice President. When he was Education, it moved to Education. Because he is the man who, amongst them, understood the importance of the knowing where we are coming from and where we are going. Sometimes with this Christianity thing, I even wonder why we waste time on debating things like on LGBTQ and stuff like that. Really, is that our problem?
No.
And the same people, if you ask them that, have you seen some of the public LGBTQ symbols that we even pose around? Let's take Livingstone. Tell me, those of you who are here, where have you seen a sculpture of a missionary or a colonialist erected with his servants? Have you seen any?
The one that showed him the Victoria Falls.
Yes, we have David Livingstone sculpture there with his Sosi and the Chuma, who, according to their literature that they left, Sosi and Chuma were devoted servants of David Livingstone. But they were not, they were wives. And that's why that sculpture has got The servants there, they are not servants, those are wives. I have a project which is brewing in my mind of going to try and start changing the name Livingstone. I want to dress those Sosi and Chuma in wedding dresses.
Even to name a feature, the seventh wonder of the world, which had two names, Mosotunya and Shungu na Mutitimu. They gave it another name. How?
And how did he discover a force which was already there? That's the 8th force.
Yes.
Because the rock there, we know that it takes 1,000 years for it to crack.
Yeah.
The next 1,000 years, the whole force is going to move to the Livingstone side because it has started cracking. Now, how does David Livingstone come in the 18th century, or is it 19th century, and discover the force, which has always been there? Just like Bill Gates has now discovered the copper seam, which has always been there.
Oh my God.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I
Thank
can go
you.
on.
No, not at all. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
I think let me mention this. It's very important I tell you how I met Sita. And she's a woman who disappeared in my life. Yes, and I didn't know where she had gone. Only to appear in my living room a few months ago. I was in Algeria during an exhibition, and Yakuba Bonatu from Ivory Coast curated a show, and he decided to take a group of us to visit the artist. We went to this big room. At the center of the room, there was a big Zimbabwean flag, and there was this young girl seated there piecing things together and stuff like that. And that young girl remained in my mind all these years until Sita appeared with Victor in my living room. Just when she arrived, a week or two, and she's now trying to talk to me about what she does. And then I said, wait a minute, are you the young girl in Algeria who was seated in this room assembling this installation with a big flag of Zimbabwe? That's me. And I'm like, oh my God, you remain in my mind until today. So we are dealing with a level of energy here which will take us very far. And I strongly believe that the work that you are piecing together here, looking at Colonial and decolonizing our minds through these symbols, is a very important. And it links to a lot of things that she's talking about, names and stuff like that. And even more importantly, you with your skin color, you've gotten yourself in this project.
Yeah.
It is your spirit that is resonating with everyone here. You see that? So it's that, at the center of humanity, there is something that connects us, which is much more above than what we have even been told, whether you are intelligent or not intelligent, or down or poor, and so on. But the spirit is neither poor nor rich. It's just a spirit resonating with other spirits at a certain level of human interaction.
I had a question when you mentioned David Livingstone, and then she mentioned the importance of names and so forth, and that we have a statue of Livingstone in Livingstone. Has there been any petition to remove the statue and to rename the city and to rename the falls?
The earliest petition coincided with Roads Must Fall in South Africa.
Yes.
And the guy in Zambia that tried to do that in Livingstone found himself in jail instead.
By the Zambian people.
Yeah?
And
By
which
the
government?
Zambian local government, etc.
You
etc.
see, government. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the PF one.
Actually, we don't. I remember having a chat with L.B. Sachs. I think he was the judge of the Constitutional Court in South Africa, and he is the guy that drafted the Freedom Charter on which the South African Constitution is based. And he did it in a very small room along Chachacha Road there, where the ANC headquarters was. And we were chatting about the roads must fall and all that kind of thing. I said, maybe we don't need to actually bring down those sculptures. Because if we bring them down, we are erasing history.
Yeah.
We need to actually have them there and construct other sculptures that will speak to the real history. Like for instance, for me, I find it very absurd that that sculpture of a Scottish man is the only sculpture that has been erected with his civil servants, with his servants. Now, I look at it and say, these are not servants, they are wives. And it speaks to the issues of LGBTQ today. We say so much about very little things, and yet there are things in front of us which we are celebrating. That is hypocritical.
Wait, who's wives?
At the
They
Livingstone
were
Museum,
wives or they
Yes,
were wives, as in
Livingstone
the two of them?
Juma and Sosi
Were
were wives.
couples.
We need those statues as a reminder.
As a reminder.
Even the horse and rider.
Yes.
I think it's in Zimbabwe. I don't know what they did. There was a horse and rider at the high court.
No, he was polygamous.
Yeah, he was a polygamous man. He married these two men. Yeah.
Where the women married.
No, they
Not
are
women,
not
the
men.
men.
They are men.
Men, Susie and Chuma.
Sosi and
We're saying
Juma
we
were
are
men.
And they were his wives.
Isaac had done a bit of work on Isaac says something.
And this is the reason when
No,
Livingstone's wife came.
I'm trying to make sense.
Because guys have been talking about the
Isaac had done some
constitution.
work on Susie and Chuma and an installation of Livingstone. Isaac might have something to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I did some research on Livingstone and his travel, his last, the third route, when his body was carried from to Bacamayo. And the two characters who had, there were 69 actually, he had 69 people in his caravan, and Chuma and Susi were part of his caravan. And they,
Just raise your voice a bit.
what surprised me about the story of Livingstone is how they kind of moved his body, which was taboo at the time, all the way, and what the motivation was for this kind of thing. Never really makes sense to add up. And I don't know about them, but basically, we had a massive caravan of 69 people.
So, you see, you can only devote yourself to a partner. Now I'm giving you the other side of the story. Unless somebody else is going to show me a sculpture of a missionary or a colonizer who has been erected with his servants. Where have you seen one?